The Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League is hitting the track at 300 Raceway today to close out this weekend's two-day pull. Last night, the Mini Rods kicked off their Pro Pulling League season opener with a bang. The defending champion, Bobcat Jr. team, opened the round with a strong run, but it wouldn't stand for the rest of the night. Bruce Slaw showed no mercy and blew the doors off with a scorching 350-foot run, but it still wasn't enough to beat the legend Ken Veney and the funny little farmall who pulled 357 feet to take the win. And tonight, they're all coming back for another round. Don't go anywhere. The pulling action starts now. Welcome to the Super Clean 300 Raceway Farley Nationals presented by Mack Trailer. You're watching the Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League. Ken Stout and Leslie Mears calling the action for you, and an exciting show coming your way courtesy of the Mini Rod Tractors. If too much on too little is just right, we've got the show for you. These things are incredible.
And probably the biggest field of mini rod tractors that we've ever seen at a Champions Tour event. And these are just really exciting machines. We're talking about 2,050 pounds, making 2,500 to 3,000 horsepower. These are the same supercharged engines that you see on the super modified two-wheel drives, 575 max cubic inches. They're only 8 feet long and 6 feet wide. And they've got a very small 13-inch hitch height, and that's very important because that hitch height is going to control or get the vehicle out of control if it is too high, and it's not going to give them the drivability that they need.
Picture your riding mower with a blower motor on it and really big rear tires. Of course, they are far more complex than that, but take a look at that machine right there. It is second to none. Just a gorgeous example of what a mini rod looks like. Dusty Price coming out here with a machine called Bacon Bits, kicks off the category at 278 and 73.
Yeah, and Dusty really ingenuitive and learning a lot in his last few years on the track with this mini rod as he kind of dove in head first here. And so, just trying to watch other guys. He works closely. I know Ken Veney has been somewhat of a mentor to him, and, you couldn't have a better guy in the category to help you out either.
Looked like he was on the brakes there a fair bit, trying to keep that one going straight. These things react extremely quickly and can get in trouble really fast as we take a look at our pulling order, and you might notice that Dusty Price is not up at the top, and that would appear as though he would drop that effort, as he does have that option as the test puller in the class. So he'll be back down to the bottom of this massive class there in 23rd.
Up next, it'll be Adam Kester, the tractor called Footloose. And you may remember the name Footloose if you are a big fan of mini rod pulling. Larry Kester, the late great in the category. This was his machine, and Adam piloting it tonight.
Boy, and another beautiful effort here. The fans absolutely love these things, and now you know why. Adam turns in a distance of 298 and 46. That'll be the mark to beat.
And really quite a slingshot pass, just very quick, lots of ground speed. Up and Adam early, front end up in the air, but look how much brake he has to use to keep it in bounds there. Really mindful of that chalk line, and you can tell that he's been driving for quite some time to be able to have that know-how on the track and that kind of like visibility to know where that white line is without really being able to see it.
Yeah, that was an impressive effort to say the least, to keep that thing under power and going right down the right side chalk line and never going over it. Here's a look at the points. This is after one hook, as we competed here just one night ago. It's pretty much how they finished up. Bruce Law up top, and of course that Show No Mercy team is brutal. They come out here and put on a show for everybody. They are tough to beat, and that little guy having a blast. So now I think I heard something. Stand up and take a look around just a bit. Here comes Dylan Bunnage. Dylan Bunnage had a chance to speak with Leslie a little bit earlier in the day.
Dylan Bunnage has got a new ride. And Dylan, it seems like you've really adjusted to the small tires here of the mini rod. How did this ride come to your camp?
Well, normally I'm used to driving a big 4-engine mod, but I guess we got into this thing about a year ago or so now. It's a ride for sure. It took a little while to get used to it, but I think we're getting used to it pretty quickly.
Yeah, and it's really kind of cool, too, how you and your dad kind of have defined roles on the track. And so how does that help you concentrate on your driving?
Most of the time, my dad, he's out reading the track. He's walking it, placing the sled. If we need to move weight, he's making last-minute changes. I'm kind of getting in my zone, making sure I can make it down the track.
And the tractor called Phoenix, and if you're not familiar with the Bunnage name, that family has had a lot of success in the super mod category, the multi-engine tractor category.
Yeah, and the family has a pulling history over 50 years long, and so this is kind of a natural here as a third-generation puller.
Well, Dylan's going to come out here and get after it. Shows he's certainly not new to the game. 300.24, and we've got a brand new leader.
Yeah, I think we're going to see the passes just keep getting better and better. With a class this wide, you've got the sun out. Oh, it does take a nasty turn for him and right there off the line, but what a great quick reaction to get back on the brake and keep it in that straight line. And it just goes to show how you have to react so quickly with these machines. But as I was saying, I think we're going to see those distances keep extending. The sun is out. The Simon family's put a lot of moisture into this track, and we're going to see that really come up here as they make these passes and the sun starts to go down.
Here comes Tyler Slaw, and the name of this tractor is Have No Mercy. We talked about the show No Mercy. We'll find out what they have here. Take a look at how close he sits. Feet right underneath the zoomies, ankles on either side of that crankcase. 300.59, and he is just going to sneak by Dylan Bunnage's 300.24. The difference, 4 inches.
Just a phenomenal setup that Tyler has here with this machine. And towards the end of last season, he was really able to line it out. They were having issues with it not going straight. Got it lined out at Wheatland, end of the season, and so continuing that on this year with those nice straight bullet passes.
So we are off and running here with our mini rods. There's a look at the top 3, all subject to change.
The Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League is brought to you by General Tire. Anywhere is possible. K&N, superior airflow, superior performance. And by Lucas Oil. Keep that engine alive.
Fans have packed the stands here at the Super Clean 300 Raceway. Farley Nationals presented by Mack Trailer. We're at 300 Raceway in Farley, Iowa. And ironically enough, just a few miles away from the Field of Dreams, one of the most popular movies of all time. Certainly a place to stop if you get out here in this area of the country.
So beautiful to see that grassy infield and just a legacy like this still alive, you know, and y'all might think to yourself, is it heaven? No, it's Iowa.
I'll tell you, when you get out here, it looks like that entire movie could absolutely come to life. Pretty amazing for sure.
Pretty cool to see a lot of the pullers too go out there. They brought their gloves with them knowing they were going to be so close and take some passes out there.
Great stuff, man, for sure. Okay, we continue on here with the mini rods. Jim Gerke up next. Yeehaw! Off on a crazy ride with a twin turbocharged machine. Love that he comes out here with a completely different animal to take a run at it, but unfortunately that animal reared its ugly head here today. 216 and 96 as he had to finally get out of it.
Yeah, it's really awesome that the rules are flexible in this category to allow that kind of ingenuity. And you can see it starts to one wheel once that box gets about halfway up. And I'm going to guess that that's where it hit the trip on the sled to put the grouser bars into the ground. And so a little bit more resistance kind of upset that vehicle as it was really trying to use that horsepower, and the sled was getting a lot heavier.
Love that turbocharged machine. As we take a look at Eric Harmison coming up here, and this one called Backdraft. Great looking paint there on the rear fenders and jammed up in that cage. Way over there by the right side chalk line, finally has to get out of the throttle and unfortunately is going to be DQ'd.
I can't imagine how frustrating that is for a driver when you've prepared for weeks to get to the track and then you get out here and you get a 10-second shot at it. You think that you have spotted the sled in the perfect position, and then the dirt just takes over. And you can see he was trying to let it float as long as he could, but there's often a point for pullers in all categories where you kind of reach that point of no return, where the brake isn't really going to work for you and you've got to let out of the throttle, and you've really got to commit to that. And I think it's hard for some guys to really commit and get out of the throttle because they always think that they can save it and keep it in bounds.
Up next will be Jim Shaendorf and the maxed out machine. Working the brakes there, pumping those things up, make sure the pads are close to the rotors. And a bit of a crazy ride, but a solid effort here for sure at 296 and 54.
Yeah, I like that he was able to bring it back around to the center of the track and keep it in line. I love the fact, too, about Jim that he started out as a super stock puller. So he went from pulling a tractor that was 10,000 pounds to pulling something that's 2,000 pounds with twice as much horsepower as he had back in the day. And he said he just loves it. And he said it's just the thrill, and it's really, really exciting to drive these mini rods.
And we saw Adam Kester a little bit earlier in the category on another tractor called the Footloose, and this time he'll be behind the wheel of Walk the Line. On another crazy ride here with that front end going up so hard, so quickly that you could hear the RPM shoot up and down as it unloaded those rear tires and then loaded them back up. He went 298 and 46 on the Footloose machine and unfortunately will not be able to surpass that here at 270 and 86.
And he told me at one time that tires are so critical to this class because they're a different ply. They're a lot softer tire, and so you have to sharpen them pretty much after every run. If you don't, you're not going to have the success that you need on the track. And he said that through the course of the season, a long season, they could use up to 10 sets of tires to try to keep themselves on top.
Wow. Dig deep, baby. It's not easy to win. We'll be right back. This is the Super Clean 300 Raceway Farley Nationals, presented by Mack Trailer. We're in Farley, Iowa. Ken Stout and Leslie Mears calling the action for you as we cover the mini rods. Putting on a show for the fans. Chase Richardson will be the next one up here. The mini rod called the Vibrator. And no doubt about it, man, this thing, I mean, you've got to feel everything sitting on this short and narrow wheelbase. That monster engine sitting right in front of you. Right hand down, working the brakes just a little bit, but I got to tell you, a spectacular effort, and it's going to yield an incredible result. 3:20 and 92. We have a new leader by 20 feet.
A lot of discipline on this pass to just give that left brake a little tap every so often to keep it in line. And so really doesn't go out there and stab it really hard to really detract from the distance. And so that's just one of the multiple things. So you've got a brake pedal on each side. You're trying to steer with your left hand as you're really being kind of, shook inside that cab, trying to stiff arm that throttle out as hard as you can. So lots going on inside that cockpit.
Boy, what a great effort there out of Chase Richardson. I love the name of this next one coming up here. Jeff Guzzo on Grandpa's Disaster. Beautiful stuff there, and you know that the grandkids had a large part of the name of that tractor.
Yeah, and he's another mini rod driver that converted from Superstocks.
If you're curious, by the way, what that large tank is up there on the front of the tractor over there by the side of the engine, that is the oil tank. And he has a great effort here. 3:08 and 34 is a solid second place.
Yeah, I mean, I love the way that the tractor just picks up off the line and just takes a set to the track. And you can see he's steering it and leaning on it, giving it a little break. And it kind of made me cringe a little bit because I thought with, man, such an awesome pass that he was going to tick that white line over there. But he keeps it in like a pro. Awesome run.
I mean, with all the brakes he had to use right there and still to go 3:08, there's 3:18 in that tractor all day long, if not 3:20. So it's out there if somebody can put one together here. Richard Peters coming up here next with a Buckeye Special. Always a solid player, of course, and finished up second on the box just one night ago. We're going to take you back, courtesy of General Tire, to Wheeling 2019 when he put one together.
Yeah, and this was a great season-ending run for him, and it was the run that solidified third place on the event, but second place on the season. And so he needed that to take that as he backed up that championship run from the 2018 season.
In short, they are a solid team. And without question, one of the smoothest efforts we've seen out here all night long. Just dangled that front end a couple of inches off the ground. Really nice setup, it would appear, although the distance, certainly not what he was hoping for at 292 and 70.
And a little bit more methodical off the line. We finally see the butterflies open up there, and that's probably about the 75-foot mark. And it looked like those tires also spun for a long time on the starting line. And so maybe not the best hole shot for him, and that proved to be a detriment at the top end. So he had to use a lot of those RPMs, a lot of that horsepower to really move the sled, and then just didn't have it to finish the run.
Well, here comes the man that won it all just one day ago. Ken Veney is no joke. Anytime he shows up, he's a threat to win, and he put a massive number on the board. He and his wife, Rona, are out here, and we love it when they're here.
So when I crossed paths with Ken Veney today, he was doing his homework. So what kind of homework do you have with a mini rod tractor?
Well, with homework would be you need to study and decide what things are going to be like. You know, so everything won't be a big surprise. So I study, I look at what the air conditions were at 4 o'clock yesterday and what they are today, and what they were at 2 o'clock yesterday and 2 o'clock today. So that gives me an idea of what I'm going to be dealing with tonight at 7:30, 8 o'clock, when, you know, time when we pull. So it's like, it's definitely going to be better today than it was yesterday. The humidity's down, and what's called the grains of water, how much water is really in the air, and it's going to be better today. So what that means is if you don't want to hurt your equipment, you need to run your engine a little bit richer, put it on the safer side. So that's why you do your homework. You want to get the maximum power that you can get without abusing it. You know, you want to keep them happy. Your engine should always be happy, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make as much power as I can and keep it happy. But we also, you know, have to consider the track, what the track's going to be like. Someone that's good at preparing the track, and the Simons, they brought in really good dirt, so the track should stay more consistent than most tracks do. That makes it more fair for everyone, not, you know, like sometimes you're an early hook or a late hook or something like that. You have a definite advantage. But here, in the conditions that we have here, it's a little more fair than what it is sometimes. And that's about all I know about homework. Never was much in school. So that's it for me.
He's just a great guy. By the way, if you're not familiar with the name, just take a minute and Google that one. He put a great one together last night, and certainly no joke here tonight. 3:09 and 97 will be good enough to sneak into second place.
And he's really putting to use all those years of drag racing where he was measuring those water grains and fine-tuning those engines. And he was a crew chief for so many years on the drag circuit as well. And so just to see him put that wealth of knowledge into mini rod tractor pulling has been amazing. And to see what he can do, you know, at his age and still taking wins, and his wife Rona out here cheering him down the track. And, you know, that comes from their drag racing days. You know, she told me she used to back him in on the starting line, and then she'd run to the 100-foot mark.
She's like, why'd you stop? I told you to keep coming. Let's go.
So she'd run to the 100-foot mark and stop, and her job was to measure how far the tire was off the ground once he left the line. And she said when she came out to start pulling, that she went and backed him up, and then all of a sudden she was like, there was nowhere to go, and so she had to run down the track, and she's kept the tradition alive ever since.
We absolutely love him. Nice to see him come out here and have success once again, but we're far from done, so stay with us. This is the Super Clean 300 Raceway Farley Nationals presented by Mack Trailer. The fans have packed the stands here and being treated to a great show courtesy of the Mini Rods here on the Champions Tour.
And just a spectacular facility, and we're so excited to add them to the Champions Tour circuit. And so Farley, Iowa is known as a late model dirt track, and they do a lot of events during the year. You can see RJ Simon there. He's kind of the proprietor of this, and he decided to acquire this because it was so close to their shop just a few years ago. And we can see the late model dirt racing machines in action.
Yeah, the 4-wide parade lap is always exciting. Good look there at Josh Richards, and the 14 car picked up his second win out here at the K&N Filters Truck County 50, and it's always a great battle. You can see him 3 wide there as well. The number 39 of Tim McCready, legendary super late racer. It's always a great time. If you get a chance, make sure you come out here and enjoy some great Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series racing. Special thanks to, of course, the Simon family for promoting this and putting it on. And they just lost, of course, the patriarch of their family, and Roger Simon, a name synonymous with championships out here in truck pulling. This one called the Lil Disaster. And Christopher Burnett putting one together here. Great effort at 3:13 and 86, and he'll take over second place.
Just a beautiful pass for him as it sits down and then goes straight out the top, and probably one of the straightest passes that we've seen of the night. Gets that front end up early, really doesn't have to do much with those front steering tires, does it a little bit with the brake. And we'll see this as he leaves the line. Those independent brakes going to work, and then just lets it ride. Gets a little squirrely on him at the end.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, that thing's is tugging down that real short wheelbase machine, making all that steam at the prime of its power and speed. Yeah, things get crazy quickly. Beast of Burden coming up here in action. Another spectacular machine here. This one driven by Ron Tobin. And the Beast of Burden machine acting a bit like Kester's tractor, the walk-to-line machine, not quite as badly. Puts a 288 and 79 up on the board.
And it seems like a methodical pull is not going to help you here. You've got to figure out a way to get up off the starting line early to build up that ground speed and make your way down the track. And, you know, these guys have great minor brothers power. And, you know, Adam Kester builds those Minor Brothers racing engines out of his shop in Indiana and pilots them out here on the track and helps service his customers as well. And, you've just got to figure out how to get it hooked up to the ground more efficiently.
Here comes Raymond Shepard and the tractor called Methanol Madness. And that one taken off to the left, no doubt, bringing that one to the right just a bit, courtesy of the brakes, and that will detract from his distance at 281.05.
We're seeing a lot of pullers really plant that sled in the middle of the track, and, I'm wondering if we wouldn't see some different results if maybe they moved away from that spot, that maybe they've worn it out, and that's kind of the battle that you have in a class this deep is you've really got to play with that starting line, keep a watchful eye on it, and see how it develops because you've got to get those tires hooked up early. We're talking about wheel speeds of 170 miles per hour, and as they're spinning that fast, it's really, quite an art to get it hooked up into the track. And so a lot of guys are afraid of the left side because they don't want to go out of bounds, and we've seen that. And so we're maybe going to find that the right side could be a little better and give them fresher dirt for that whole shot.
Todd Boltman, stress relief. And if you, like you just talked about, if you can find that sweet spot where these guys don't have to use too much brake, they sail out over that 300-foot mark. Nice effort right there. 304.07 will be good enough to get him into the top 5.
Yeah, and Boltman is as smooth and as attentive in his driving as he is in his fabrication. And so we see that right off the line. He's able to get it hooked up. However, once the box tops off on the sled, that's where we see the front end really come up and down and really kind of falter out there and can't hang.
Still plenty of action yet to come. Here's a look at the people they're chasing for now. A little bit past the halfway point here of this class.
The Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League is brought to you by Geico, saving people money on more than just car insurance. Super Clean, not just clean, super clean. And by Optima Batteries, the ultimate power source.
The Mini Rods are putting on a show at the Super Clean 300 Raceway Farley Nationals, presented by Mack Trailer. The mark to beat, some 320 feet, set by Chase Richardson. Was a spectacular effort for sure. And we'll take a look at another gorgeous machine coming up here, driven by Scott Van Antwerp. It's called Playing Dirty. And finally shuts that one down, 287 and 68.
And there are a lot of variables in this class, just like there are other classes. And the big one is the tire pressure for these guys. They want to make sure that they can get those soft tires hooked up into the track. And so when we talk about that tire pressure, we're talking about anywhere from 1.5 to 3 pounds of air in the tires. And that's a huge range. And so they adjust that according to the track, how they feel that it's going to hook up. And so they're probably adjusting here by, 1/4 and 1/8 pounds when you've got that little pressure in the tires.
Yeah, the number sounds small, but if you put it in percentages, it's a huge percentage to go from 1.5 to 3 pounds. And keep in mind, that's a big, gigantic spring back there. So it for sure will make that tractor react a good bit different. Here comes Brad Carrender. Wow, and a solid effort there. The closest one we've seen come to our leader, 3:19 and 37. A beautiful job to jump up and take over a strong second place.
Yeah, a straight shot and a bullet. And who would have known that this track was put in just 3 weeks ago? You know, Ken Veney hit it right on the head and said that the Simons have put together a good track out here, and it's holding up well for our mini rod tractors as well. It was really cool to see Carrender at the end of that run. Yeah, excitement from the team. To see him at the end of that run for probably the last 35 feet, he just put his feet flat down on the rails because he knew he had it locked in and didn't have to use those brakes anymore.
Just planted and feeling that power, gripped up with the Outlaw machine. We continue on. This is Chase Richardson. This one called the Pile Driver. And yes, Chase Richardson is also our current leader behind the wheel of the Vibrator. Another great looking effort, but he had to use just a little bit of brake right off the bat, and no doubt hurt him at the end, 3:06 and 19.
And some different atmospheric changes too. You know, when he pulled earlier, you know, in the class, it was a little bit sunnier. We've got a little bit more moisture coming up from the track, probably a little more moisture in the air too. And so, you know, those changes can make a difference to your engine as well and the power that you're creating. But I definitely think it's the brake that hurt him the most, not the power that he's making putting in the ground.
Yeah, a combination of everything certainly adds up, right? As we continue on here comes Abby Leischner and the Bobcat Jr. And the Bobcat Jr., of course, a defending championship tractor from 2019. Her and her father have done a great job behind the wheel of it.
So the Bobcat made a change to their tires for today's hook after their performance last night. So Abby, during your run, what were you feeling when you were hooking up out of the hole that made you guys make that change?
The biggest thing we did was watch Ken Veney, so we changed our tires, and we have a later hook tonight, so hopefully that'll be in my favor tonight.
Yeah, and one thing you're trying to do with your tires is really impact your hole shot. So how do you think this set is going to help you?
Hopefully we get a better hole shot and we can keep the motor up the whole pass and go a little further down the track.
Talented young lady right there, of course. She's been playing in the dirt since the day she was born, and Dad's been out here his entire career. She's watched from the best, learned from the best, got behind the wheel, and applied it as though she is the best. She is no stranger to the winner's circle. Put there to the test early on, but that thing settled in and finally charged down through there. You can see both feet ready to work the brakes, and she does a spectacular job of not hitting them. 322.09, and we've got a brand new leader.
And man, you just see the Bobcat shift to the side and lock in. You know, I thought there for a second as it took off to the left that she was going to be in trouble, but she did a great job bringing it back around and keeping it straight the rest of the way down the track. And you can see her feet just kind of hovering over those brakes, just waiting for the opportunity that she might have to use them. But man, what a good machine, and what a great move by the team too to make the call to change those tires out in just a day.
Some seasoned minds over there making a great call to give young Abby Leischner a shot at this win. We'll be back to see if she can hang on to that lead. Things are getting exciting at the top here at the Super Clean 300 Raceway Farley Nationals, presented by Mack Trailer. Young Abby Leischner behind the wheel of the Bobcat Jr. has set the mark to beat at 322.09. Chase Richardson in second at 320.92. And we still have a handful of tractors yet to go. Up next will be Art Mendez. The name of the tractor, Scratchin for Traction. And another great-looking hook here. Very little break in operation. 309 and 55.
It looked like the tractor might have got hooked up so hard that it got on the wheelie bars just a touch and brought that front end back down. And you can see there, once those wheelie bars come up, that's where that rear end really starts to go to work, the open diff back there. And so it kind of unsettles it for a little bit, and then he does a nice job getting it to settle back into the track. But I think this guy could have been a contender too if he'd had just a little bit more weight on the nose.
Here comes a name synonymous with winning championships in the Pro Stock category and the Super Mods as of late. This is Austin Boyd on the Green Streak Mini, and Leslie spoke to him.
Everybody's got a method when they're driving and that one singular focus once they're strapped in and ready to leave the line. So, Austin, what's the things that you're concentrating on as you're hooked up to the sled and ready to bring it up on RPMs?
I pull out on the track, and you want to get back into the sled and back in straight, and then I always try to find an object on the end of the track to focus on, and that's where I try to go. From start to finish, I want to leave my front end wherever that object is I got pointed on the track, and kind of keep it feathered to brakes to end up where I want to end up.
How critical is that whole shot for you guys? Because you said you're really, really concentrating on finessing that throttle.
It's very critical. You want to be as smooth as you can with it. You don't want to zing the throttle and get to hopping. You want to have a smooth and quick takeoff as you can.
What's really been cool about seeing Austin come along in both categories is that, sure, we know he's got great machinery there because it's really proven itself on the track, but he's adjusted well. And, he hasn't really had any growing pains as of yet in either one of the machines that he's driven.
A couple of quick stabs at the brake to keep that one happy, and 320.15 is where he'll burn that thing in. He'll be just short of second place by about 9 inches, but inside of the top 3.
And as close as he was in runs with Abby Leishner, that he was really gunning to take that spot from her. These two have really kind of grown up at the track together, and they're really good friends, and they josh each other in the pits. And so I know there'll be some ribbon going on after this one. Yeah, it's good stuff for sure. And as we expect, this Green Streak team always comes out prepared. You talked about this young driver with his natural ability, has watched his father and his grandfather come out and do what they do. And boy, he is certainly a chip off the old block, if you will. And here comes Abby right off the bat to say, good job, but not quite enough to beat me here tonight. Good stuff. Well, the two of them have some other people that they need to worry about, too. And one of those is Bruce Slaw coming up next here in the Show No Mercy machine, taking just about the same line that we saw both of them take. Yeah, the Show No Mercy machine finishing third in the points a year ago, second 2 years ago, won the championship in 2016. And he comes out here and goes 3:05.04. That'll be a good bit short of what he's going to need here to compete with the leaders tonight. And he just couldn't find that point of balance with the machine once he left the line. And, he really kind of struggled keeping the front end up. And, you can see that Bruce has moved as far as he possibly can be forward in that seat with his legs wrapped around the engine out there. So he doesn't really have a lot more weight to put forward to keep it balanced. And you can see just really frustrated with that effort after taking second just one day ago. Yeah, a team that is used to being at the top of the charts, they are not happy with anything less, for sure. 2 tractors yet to go here inside of the category. Keith Horst will be the first of the final 2, and it's called the Red Fox. And sails it down through there, a nice looking hook, but a good bit short of what he needs at 292.46. Yeah, it's nice to see the Red Fox back out here after seeing them only intermittently last season. And it looks like Keith and his dad, Denny, were looking for some fresh dirt for their whole shot. And they moved way far to the right, farther than we've seen anyone in the last 5 passes. And so just trying something different to mix it up to get that edge. And sometimes that's what you have to do. If you go back to 2016 and 17, these guys were third in the points. They're solid players, so great to have them back out here. 1 to go. Who's going to win this thing? Stay with us. We'll be right back.
The Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League is brought to you by General Tire, anywhere is possible. Rhino Ag, born to lead. And by Lucas Oil, keep that engine alive.
One tractor yet to go in the mini rod category here at the Super Clean 300 Raceway Farley Nationals presented by Mack Trailer. It is wonderful to be out here truck and tractor pulling in 2020, the second event for the mini rods here in this season. And we'll finish things up with the guy that got it all going. Dusty Price was able to drop that first hook. He'll come out here as last in the category and see if he can jump up there and steal a win. And as you can see, he was busy there behind the wheel driving that thing, trying to get everything he could out of it. Unfortunately, not enough tonight here at 271 and 16. So that will wrap things up. We'll take another look at it here.
Yeah, really crafty to react as quickly as he did. And then to have the guts to try to throttle it out and stay in it when it, banging up and down, the one wheeling that was continuing throughout the run. Kudos for him for making that effort.
Such a great looking tractor, and yeah, boy, these things will get sporty pretty quick whenever they start one-wheeling like that, but that's why the fans love them, and that's why we like to bring them on TV for all of you at home as well. When they go right, they are an absolute thing of beauty. Well, Austin Boyd was not available. His grandfather went for a crazy ride, so he's over there tending to him. In the meantime, we'll speak to his crew chief, Shannon Leischner.
Well, Shannon, you and your team had a great weekend out here, a third-place finish for the Green Streak Mini Rod tonight. And how have you been able to line this tractor out so quickly in the limited amount of time that you guys have had it?
Well, first of all, we started off with a really good piece, and with Austin learning how to drive so fast, he's just doing a wonderful job. We've got a great team to help him. The whole Boyd family, Brian, Brad, myself, we've got the experience. Now we finally get to put it down on the track with a really, really awesome driver.
Here's a look at the final results, and Chase Richardson laid down that 320 and 92 really early on in the category, and it stood for a good while, but they finally started coming back after him, and boy, did it end up being a great show. He didn't manage to hang on to second place, though, so let's get it back down to the podium and talk to him.
Chase Richardson has been chasing bugs all season long, so how good does it feel to get that nice, even, solid pass under your belt out there?
Feels really good. Luckily, my dad and everyone else is here because the more I touch, the more I screw up. So he had to come in and slap me around a little bit, but we got it fixed and felt good to get down through there tonight.
Yeah, and you told me that you did exactly what he told you to do tonight, and that's why you did so well. Is that always the case?
Because I'm a good child. That's what you're supposed to do. But they would tell you different. But yeah, he's pretty sharp. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, you held the lead for so long out there. Congratulations on your second place finish here tonight.
I really appreciate it. Just like to thank everyone that put this show on, the Simons. Anyone watching this on TV, this is whenever you're watching it, circle in your calendar next year because this is an awesome pull. It's going to be one of the top ones year in, year out. Kudos to those guys. And I know they've went through a lot, and our sport's gone through a lot the last year. And, not even them, close friends of ours, the Petros losing Randy, and then the Kessler family losing Larry the last year. It's good to get out here and do this to these guys.
And here's a look at the points with just 2 hooks completed. And, of course, everybody will head over to Wheatland as well to wrap up this season. But how about young Abby Leischner? She is off to a great start, and much like her father, who's a multi-time champ, has certainly watched and learned all along the way. She has a natural feel for it. Let's talk to her.
Abby, it was just a little bit rocky out of the hole, but it seemed like once you got past that first 50 to 75 feet, you were really just a rocket all the way down the track. How was that hole shot tonight, and how did it work out for you?
Absolutely. The hole shot was much better. We held the front end, and we loaded the motor. It felt much better than last night.
Yeah, a great night for you and your team, and you've kind of set the pace and kind of set the bar high for Jed tonight, too.
Absolutely. I hope we can do what we did last weekend, and I hope we can place on top.
Yeah, congrats to you and your awesome team.
Thank you. First and foremost, we need to thank the Boer family for letting us do this, having this mini over here. We miss you guys. We wish you were here, and thank you to everyone behind me. Thank you to the Simons for everything they've done and the great hospitality. This is a great place, and I can't wait to see where it goes.
Never miss a hook. Go to propulling.com/set reminder to add all of the Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League airings to your personal calendar. Receive a calendar reminder minutes before each event airs.
So good to be back out here making big noise and slinging dirt, putting on a show for the fans. Go to propulling.com and keep up with the schedules and all of our latest results from all of the categories, different divisions, and of course the Champions Tour. Hope you enjoyed all the great pulling action. For Leslie Mears, I'm Ken Stout. Thanks for watching the Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League.